AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Good morning, race fans. I hope you're ready to talk a little dirt track action and a little bit of asphalt action as we are ready to do this little thing called the Front Stretch. It's presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Bud, we haven't talked about Joe's Karting in a little while. What's going on down there at the Metro's only indoor karting facility?
Well, I am going to tell you, last night I got a phone call from my staff. Here's a little forewarning. Do not show up in a party bus intoxicated, because we will not let you run.
Why not? That's totally safe.
They were pretty nice about it, but yeah, we had a great, kind of like one of those school bus type party buses.
Yeah,
about
Jonesy has one.
Yeah,
there's a couple of them on the floor.
Yeah, I think there was something like 25, 30 people showed up, and they can't even hardly stand up, and they're like, "Come on, we want to race a go-kart." And my staff's like, "No, just for your safety, no."
Joe's Karting is a great way to kick the night off. It
Not
gets your adrenaline
in the night.
going. Yeah. Not afterwards. I've had that experience too, where I've gone over there and the track official's like, Nope.
No.
I only had 3 Quakers taken, but it's me, and I'm a lightweight.
You had one case of beer 24 times.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. A quick reminder, if you're a part of the Pick'ems contest and you haven't gotten registered yet, just head over to joeskarting.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there is a register button. Click on it, and you will save Buddy a lot of time and headache. And frankly, it'll save you a lot of time and headache, too, because last thing we all need to do is rely on either of our memories.
I've got part-timers. Something fierce.
Part-timers or Parkinson's?
No, that's Alzheimer's.
Oh, Alzheimer's. Okay. Well, I think you've got a little
it is
of all
early,
of it.
aren't you?
It is May 11th, and this is Mother's Day. Quick look at the weather. It's going to keep raining pretty much most of the day. Looks like about 11 a.m., though. We've got a chance for some severe thunderstorms. If you want to get a full breakdown, head over to our friends over at Action 3 News. Jim Flowers and the Weather Alert team are taking care of you over there on Channel 3 KMTV. So it's going to be a little bit of a wet Mother's Day, but we'll deal with it. Mothers deal with the worst of things.
Are you doing anything for your mom today?
Or headed over to Griswold to there's a restaurant over there that my family wants to go eat at. So we're going to go eat in Griswold, just grab some lunch and kind of hang out real quick. Nothing big, nothing special.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing anything real. Well, no, I better not say anything different. No, we might be going to grandma's or my wife's mom. I want to work on race cars, but I got sidetracked.
Yeah, you're going to get overruled today.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, one heck of a race last night at Kansas Speedway. As we saw back in October, as the track began to take a little bit of weather, began to wear in, the racing got a lot better. There was a lot of cautions last night, again, as we saw back in October. I think the record there is 17. The April after they repaved the track, or no, it was the October after they repaved the track. They had so many cautions, but not as many last night. And I thought fantastic racing. It got spread out once or twice, but then at the end of a run, there'd be a tire blown or there'd be someone pushing it a little bit too hard. We'd have a caution, everybody come together. And
no, I didn't get to see the race at all. I was racing Friday night, and I went out to Eagle Raceway last night, and we'll get into that in turn 2 and 3. But one thing I was wondering, when the temperatures dropped, did it seem like there was an excitement at Kansas being under the lights? And when you did see those long green runs show up, was it kind of the same old where if you're out in the front, in the clean air, you were gone?
No, not at all. If you were Kevin Harvick and you were out in the front, yeah, you were gone. But
Kevin Harvick's been like, if you're out front, you're gone anyways.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano had the 2 of the best cars, and once those 2 got out front, they were gone. But for the most part, if it was anybody else, they would hold it for about 5 or 6 laps, and then Kevin or Joey would catch him. And frankly, the only reason why Joey led laps was because Kevin got caught on a green flag run with a caution coming out. On a green flag pit stop, a caution came out. So he went a lap down, had to use his wave around to get back on the lead lap, started at the back of the pack and just couldn't go anywhere. But the class of the field, obviously taking the win was Jeff Gordon. A fantastic run for Jeff. I thought all night long, Kevin had the better car, and I was just waiting for Kevin to catch him. You remember a couple of years ago when Jimmy Johnson was leading the race and Carl Edwards was second, and Carl just threw all of his driving skills out the window and said, "I'm going to drive into this corner as far as I can to
That's
try
about
to
2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was longer than that because
Maybe 3 years.
It was a year before we went in April.
Okay,
So it was a
okay.
year before the show started going down there.
2010.
I think it was 2010, 2011. In fact, it was 2011 because if he'd have won that race, it had helped him win the championship. But anyways, Kevin Harvick did the same thing, except it kind of worked for Kevin. He closed about a half a second lead coming out of turn 2. He closed it down to just a fender to a half a car length's lead coming across the start finish line. So that was a really good race. I thought it was a really good race. A lot of excitement, and apparently somebody kept flipping the switch on the backstretch lights at Kansas. I sent a message to Sonia Worth. I said, "Can you get the power bill figured out for us real quick?" And she said, "I'm on it, Dan." She was down there. There was a lot of Front Stretch fans down there. A lot of local area guys that were down there. A lot of my friends were posting pictures, and of course, I'm jealous. I chose not to go down this weekend, and I should have. It was a great race. It would have been a great experience, but I kind of value my sleep. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting to be a bit of a baby.
I just want to go to a racetrack.
Here's your top 10 as far as they finished at Kansas Speedway. Matt Kenseth, who didn't have much of anything all night long, but he had it when it counted. That last green flag run was able to get himself a top 10 finish. Jimmy Johnson came home in 9th. Eric Almirola came home in 8th. Good thing you're sitting because you're going to be surprised by this. Danica Patrick in 7th. And I want to pause here and just talk about Danica Patrick for just a minute. And I apologize if it seems like I'm gushing on her, but obviously she finished 8th in the Daytona 500. What was it, a couple of years ago? Last year's Daytona 500. And I gave her credit because super speedway racing has its challenges. But I also don't really take, when somebody walks around and says, well, I finished top 10 at Daytona, my first thought is, well, how many cars actually finished the race?
Yeah.
How big was the big one at the end? Congratulations, you finished 8th, but was there only 10 cars running and you were half a lap behind? You know what I'm saying? It's like super speedways, I led laps of super speedways. Well, everyone leads laps of super speedways. There's like 50 lead changes. But I gave her credit last night because from the second practice on Friday to the qualifying, she had a good car. And she qualified up front.
Nothing to take away from her, but the entire, Stewart team, everybody was fast all weekend.
They were running very strong. And I'll get to the story of if they were kind of talking about it last night on the broadcast, since you didn't get to watch it, of why she was fast. But then she starts the race, and we've seen it before. She starts in the top 10, top 15, and
falls back.
Until she's able to get her car right. But by the time she's able to get her car right and maintain speeds, she's 2 laps down. She held her own all night long. And let me tell you, they were talking about it at the post-race conference. Jeff Gordon was talking about it in his post-race conference, and you could hear how shocked he was that he goes, several times she was pushing me to get around me, and finally I let her go. And she was aggressive. She was smart. She was good. She was really good last night. So maybe that's a good turn of the page for. I thought it was really interesting that she talked about in the pre-race with off the air with a couple of the guys that her and Kevin Harvick sat down and had a big long meeting about her car and her driving style at Kansas. And I knew there was software out there that tracked exactly when you're braking, how much pressure you're braking, so that you could tell exactly how your run's going. Well, Kevin looked at that information, every single piece of information, and said, you're going into you're backing off the throttle too soon, and you're waiting too late to go down to the corner, and just basically said, here's your recipe, go bake a cake. And she went and baked a cake. And she finally, that's what we talked about when they brought this organization together, when it was Tony, Ryan, and her last year, and now all of a sudden it's Tony Stewart, her, Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick. These 3 guys who are championship contenders in their own, obviously Kevin doesn't have one yet, can really give her that, no, this is how you do it. Experience.
Yeah,
what she's
eventually
needing.
she's going to have to, she's really going to have to step it up. I mean, like you said, when you got those 3 drivers that could win a championship on any given year, and she doesn't start performing, that's going to look bad for Stuart Haas Racing.
Well, and it's you said that Stuart Haas looked good all weekend, and yet Kevin was their highest finisher. Then Danica was 7th, Tony was 20th, and Kurt was 29th. So and that's not very indicative of the night. Tony was up there challenging for the lead. I think he got caught a lap down. Yeah, he did. He finished a lap behind, a lap off the pace. But anyways, so finishing your top 10, Danica Patrick 7th, Carl Edwards came home in 6th, Joey Logano. Dale Jr. 5th, Joey Logano 4th, Casey Kane 3rd, Kevin Harvick 2nd, and Jeff Gordon gets his first win on the season. We have our 9th winner on the season, and we have a 9th person that is in the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. So very interesting. I was kind of surprised that Kevin wasn't able to catch Jeff last night, but that's what makes for great racing. Kevin just tried it everything he could, but just could not get there, and yeah. So that's that.
So let's talk about this new one-hit wonder, the Gillian. I hit the wall and the wall won. So what happened with Gillian and
David Gillian?
Yeah.
Holy God, that was. I think that was one of the harder hits I've ever seen.
I was in Shelby Bade's trailer at Eagle last night, and I looked up, not realizing it was on TV, and all I saw was a big old fireball, looked like a jet going down the straightaway, and I was like, I looked back over and I saw, Allgaier getting into Gillian. Gillian's in the wall. And I was just like, what happened there?
Oh, there was a lot of drivers that were involved in that. AJ Allmendinger, there was several occasions where there would be nobody around the car, and the car would just snap loose coming out of one of the corners. And typically it was turn 4. AJ Allmendinger snapped loose and came across the field. I think they were just after. No, they were all racing in a pack. It was after a restart. It'd been a while after a restart. So AJ comes down across the pack, goes into the grass, recovers, and then he's sliding back across the field and clips Justin Allgaier, who then spins, and his car goes flying across the racetrack and just slams straight into David Gilliland's car.
Have you noticed at Kansas, though, it seems like there's a lot of issues in turn 4? You'll see some, maybe turn 1, maybe turn 2. But I remember the year that we went down there, and they almost had a record number of cautions. Almost all the cautions were in turn 4.
Well,
I noticed turn 4.
They weren't. There was only we talked about that a couple of times. You'd brought that up on the way back, and then I went and looked into it. There was only actually three cautions because of turn 4 of I think we had 9. But anyways, yeah, that is a perception. But last night, it seemed to be everywhere. It seems to be coming off of the turns going on to a straightaway. Turn 2 was a trouble issue last night, too. We've seen Kyle Busch. Remember, was last October Kyle Busch was down there, and just on his own, coming out of turn 2, the car just snapped loose, and he spun and ended his night. And by the way, Kurt Busch finally gets... no, he didn't, Kyle Busch.
In your opinion, do you think at Kansas, when you're in Kansas and you come off the corners, do you think they need to look at something either with the tire or the car setups? Because to me, it looks like we have a lot of cars snapping loose coming off the corners at Kansas. We go to Kentucky, you're not going to see this a lot at Kentucky, where you're coming off the corner and you're seeing an issue of cars snapping loose. But you go to Kansas, I bet you we go to Kansas in October for that Cup, the chase race, I bet you see cars snapping loose quite a few times.
It's just the design of the track.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's...
And because this didn't happen before they repaved it, it's still a relatively green track. It's still very new. It's what they repaved it
a year or two ago?
They broke ground after the April race or May race in 2012. And so October 2012 was the first green race. So we've had 3 races on it. It's just ungodly fast speeds. And when it got cold last night, the speeds went up again. I think I saw them going, they were going 205, 208 into turn 2 last night. and then into turn 3 also. Not turn 2, sorry. Into turn 3, because they were coming off turn 2, you got that big run on the backstretch, and then heading down into turn 3. They were going 208. I think that's the reason why, is because you get that big run off the backstretch, going down into the corner, and then you're excited to get back into the throttle to continue momentum, and the car just breaks loose. But I don't think it's, honestly, I don't think it's a track issue. I don't think it's anything issue. It happened to everybody. Clint Boyer had it happen last night. Kyle Busch had it happen. AJ Allmendinger. I mean, there was several drivers that I can't make a connection and say it was this driving style, it was this organization, it was this setup, because it was kind of spread throughout the field of people just randomly spinning. And we also saw some guys that just on the front stretch just broke loose and just spun. So, all right, that's let's talk about your point standings real quickly. In the top 10, Brian Vickers in 10th, Greg Biffle 9th, Ryan Newman 8th, Jimmy Johnson 7th, Joey Logano 6th, Carl Edwards 5th, Dale Jr., Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Jeff Gordon is your points leader. I want to point out Kurt Busch because he does have that win, but in order to use the win to get into the chase, he has to be in the top 30, and right now he is 28th, and he is just about 40 points in front of Michael Annett, who is 30th right now. So Kurt Busch has got to get something figured out in that 41 car. Start getting some points, because we were talking about it with Kevin Harvick, that he had the wins on the season, and if he dropped out of the top 30 at one point in time, then he wouldn't be able to use those wins, and he'd be out of luck. And now Harvick is up to 15th. So those guys, Stewart-Haas, fast, but they have issues, big issues every once in a while at tracks that are really starting to bite Kurt Busch in the butt. So, all right, let's take a break. We'll be back in turn 2 to break down a couple of local dirt tracks, some of the results and action from this weekend in racing in the Midwest. We'll be back. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
So you raced your car this weekend and it ended up on the wrecker. Alter Metal Recycling in Council Bluffs wants to remind you it's not a total loss. Bring it by their modern scrap metal recycling facility and get top dollar for your car. Alter has a full concrete unloading zone, so you don't have to deal with muddy loading zones, and pays on the spot for your car. Alter Metal Recycling is open 6 days a week, with locations in Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and more. Find your location online at altertrading.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Driving home from work, you try to beat your best time. Even though your neighbor started mowing first, you finish first. And when you see the shortest checkout line, you race to it. That's because there's a race fan in all of us. Experience a different kind of race at Iowa Speedway on May 18th for the NASCAR Nationwide Series 250. Tickets start at $20. Buy your tickets at iowaspeedway.com or call 866-RUSTY-GO.
We're working the High Line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to The Front Stretch. Turn number 2 brought to you by I-80 Speedway and Kaziski Auto Parts. You know, we're just around the corner. We were just actually a few weeks away from the Charlie Clark Memorial Sunday night memorial show for the old racer Charlie Clark. Non-sanctioned A-Mods, B-Mods, Hobby Stocks, and Nebraska 360 Sprints will all be coming out to I-80 Speedway on Sunday night, May 25th. Get your tickets. It's going to be a great. Remember that race last year? Oh, my God. Nobody wanted to take home second place that night. Everybody wanted to be the winner.
You know, the Charlie Clark is predominantly a modified show, but when the Nebraska 360 Sprints roll into town, do not take that lightly.
Yeah. And then the schedule really heats up for I-80 after that. You get the Charlie Clark over with. 2 weeks later, SLS Promotions, the World of Outlaws joins I-80 Speedway.
I wonder if they'll let me drive in the World of Outlaws this year. Hey, I'm on a roll this year.
Yeah. rolling on your lid.
Yeah.
You seem to spend more time. Never mind. That race is June 6th, and then the Silver Dollar Nationals in July. It's all coming together. I-80 Speedway, I-80speedway.com for more ticket information. I think we've got PJ on the phone. Let's talk to PJ about results from Crawford County and Harlan or Shelby County Speedway. PJ, how you doing, big guy?
Oh, doing all right, guys. How you guys doing this morning?
Waking up.
Yeah, we're enjoying this. I'm fully awake. I'm so excited and ready to roll. Get to talk a little dirt track action. Don't get to do it very often. That's the lovely thing about the live shows is that we can talk updated dirt track action. While I'm waiting for my results to load, PJ, if you would, go through some of the results from Shelby County last night.
Well, before I do real quick, I just want to say two quick things. Number one, everybody be safe today. The weather's looking really nasty. We got some possible tornadoes and stuff. So heed the warnings, listen to your local radio and TV. And the other thing is give your mom some love today. It's Mother's Day. I know you should do it every day, but especially today. And do it before you can't do it anymore.
Exactly. All right.
So real quick, the Sport Compact feature, I'm going to tell you right now, there was only 75 cars in the pits last night, but my God, the action was just amazing. Last night in the Sport Compacts, Shayna Mulberg, heartbreaker for him out of Dunlap, Iowa, battling for second with Tony Kerger, and ends up, once again, just like last Friday in Denison, Gremlins bit the car. He ended up finishing 14th. 15 Sport Compacts checked in, your top five. The super rookie, Alex Stapleton out of Denison, was fifth. Dale Griffin out of Portsmouth was fourth. The Dirt Rocket, Cody Thompson out of Sioux City was third. Tony Kerger was second. And Kane the Bandit Mulberg picks up his second win of the year down in Harlan. And, I mean, just side by side, bouncing off each other. It was an amazing feature. Looking at the hobby stock class, the top five was Robert Rampage Ritterbusch in that brand new car of his in fifth, Jeff Fink in fourth, Josh Cook in the 45 in third, Fuzzy Jason Fuzzleman in second, and the 92P of Mike Pruitt out of Redfield won. But I'm going to tell you right now, you had said about Kane Mulberg on Friday night over the headset, Dan, that he was doing his best Kyle Busch impression, getting in trouble early and picking his way through the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Fuzzy Fuzzleman blows a tire early, comes in, changes the right rear tire, starts dead last 10th, picks his way back up through the field, and actually managed to get his way back to second. That was the first of the guys that just decimated the field on the way through.
PJ, did you say Josh Cook was third?
Yes, he was. The 45. That car looked really, really good last night. He led a few laps before Mike Pruitt just started walking away from everybody.
What happened with Fuzzy's car on Friday night? I can't seem to remember. Was it a transmission issue?
And Buddy Ray, I know you're going to know this one. The transmission housing cracked on it. So, of course, they had to change transmissions out. He come out, and he was just a man on a mission last night.
Yeah, buddy, you had that happen last year. And then who was it that gave you a transmission to make sure you can keep running?
Evan Nimitz.
Yeah, that's right. All right, how about what else happened down there? I heard there was a little bit of a I'm foreshadowing, but I'll let you get to the big story of the night. Go ahead and just continue with the results.
All right, real quick. Sport Mods, fifth place was Cody Olson out of Omaha. Bud Pash from Ottawa was fourth. Dylan Peterson from Jacksonville was third, with Jared Hansen in second. And a great battle between Peterson, Hansen, and the eventual winner from Missouri Valley, Dennis Cook in the 45 car. Just a great side-by-side battling back and forth, kind of like the stock car class was in Denison on Friday night. It was a great feature. And speaking of the stock cars, 7 of those checked in, but I'll tell you what, they were racing like it was 20 of them at Talladega back and forth, kind of like Friday night. Your top 5 was Tony Ritterbusch out of Dunlap. Fourth place was Dale Woodard out of Elkhorn, Nebraska. Flying Brian Blessington in the 92B in third. Mike Stapleton from Denison was second. And surprise, surprise, take a wild guess who won last night from Harlan, Iowa.
Jesse.
Anybody?
Well, not Jesse.
No, not Jesse.
No, it was, once again, 63 of Mike Nichols takes it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I jumped the class there. I jumped the start.
I'm trying to get my Facebook to load. I apologize. Keep going, big guy. I'm listening.
That's fine. The late model feature, your top 5 was Al Zeitner in fifth and Mel Zeitner in fourth, both from Bellevue. Alan Hopp from Harlan was in third. The Colt 45, Barry Sorensen from Harlan was in second. And Ben Nading came from Ankeny, Iowa. and pretty much walked away with it. So he got the win. Your modified feature, and this is where we had probably one of the scariest moments I've seen in a long time, and I'll get to that here in a second. But first off, your top 5. Ricky the Racer Steffen from South Sioux City, Nebraska was 5th. 4th was Jeff Stevens, and I thought for sure he was finally going to bust out number 100 last night once all the dust settled. Robert Tippery from Council Bluffs was 3rd. Crazy 99 Jesse Sobbing from Glenwood was 2nd, and I'll get to him in a second too. And surprise, surprise, Dan McKeegan from Carter Lake, long time away from the victory lane he's been, and he managed to bring that Z62 car home.
So let's talk about this accident. I kept seeing posts all night long that there was carnage and mayhem at Shelby County Speedway.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. What happened was there was a restart with about, I would say, 6 to go. Abelson was able to get by Sobbing for the lead. And going down to 1 and 2, like right at the exit of 1, there was a bit of a hole. Well, Abelson managed to catch that hole, and it shot the car dead right in front of Sobbing. Sobbing literally had nowhere to go. Steered the right side door of Abelson's car, and as Sobbing's trying to back it out, he wasn't able to back down quick enough. It rolled Abelson's car over, and Sobbing ended up landing on top of Abelson.
Wow.
Crowd went dead silent. Nobody knew what was going on. They were trying to figure out what to do. They finally got Sobbing's car off of it, got Abelson out. Abelson was fine. They rolled his car over, and Abelson got back in and drove it back to the pits. now, here's...
Have we had somebody in NASCAR do that before?
Wow.
Yeah, actually, 97 Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt rolled it several times. He was in the back of the ambulance. They were getting ready to load it up. He looks at him, he goes, I think it's still got 4 wheels on it. See if it'll fire up. It'll fire up. Get it off the hook. I'm finishing the race. But speaking of finishing the race, and there's pictures all over Facebook of it, after having the car on top of the 1X of Abelson, Sobbing decides to take the back of the field as opposed to coming in and just calling it a night.
Right.
Okay. Now, he manages to go. We had, at the time, I would say, as I'm looking down here, 10 cars left with 5 laps to go. Okay, so he restarts in 10th.
Yeah.
By the time all is said and done, he's sitting second and was tracking down McKeegan in 5 laps. I mean, he was just picking him up and putting him down. But I'll tell you, McKeegan, Tippery, and Jeff Stevens were just having a great battle. The crowd was really behind Jeff Stevens. They so badly want to see him get number 100.
Yeah, he's sitting at 99 right now, and he's had a good car. He'll get it one of these nights.
Yeah, there was a lot of beating and banging. That 92 doesn't look so pretty this morning, but I'll tell you what, it was just amazing action all over the place last night.
All right, PJ, anything else from Harlan you want to talk about from Shelby County?
Yeah, PJ, I was at Eagle Raceway last night. The one thing I want to ask you, a lot of us drivers and fans in the pits were talking, car count. Where do you think all the cars are?
That's a very good question. I mean, Denison went from 109 week 1 down to 76. I mean, a good chunk of that could be because we had overflow from rainouts the first week, and there's a lot of graduations coming up. Honestly, I don't know, because Harlan's had between 75 and 80 every week so far. I'm not really sure. And while we're on that subject, my question to all of the Eagle Sport or sprint car drivers is, where have you guys been? I mean, a lot of them said they were going to come up and try Denison. We haven't seen it, so where have they been?
Yeah, and I talked to Dover. I talked to Dover after the race, and he said the same. He goes, I don't know why people aren't coming here. I love this track. The 2 times he's ran there, he absolutely loves it. The track is great, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, Roger Hayden said it during Sling and Dirt. He goes, Denison's going to have to do something because they're not just going to show up because you said, we're going to run 305s. They got to go out there and actively pursue these people. So maybe that's the problem.
That could very well be.
All right, PJ, we appreciate your time. We got to take a break and get over to Stan Caesar talking about Eagle Raceway.
All right, well, I just want real quick thanks to everybody at Shelby County Speedway for having me out, and Joe Proctor, hopefully you get back in the booth soon, buddy.
Yep, get well, big guy. All right, thank you so much, PJ. Have a good one, bud.
You too.
Tip. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk with Stan Caesar from Eagle Raceway, get a recap from last night. We'll try to get to I-80 in Crawford County if we've got time to do it. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590 Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This week's young gun on the front stretch is Kaylee Diekman. Kaylee is working on her 7th year racing IMCA Sport Compacts at Thunderhill Raceway, Beatrice Speedway, Junction Motor Speedway, and Deschler Speedway. Kaylee has already claimed a track championship at Thunderhill behind the number 12 and took runner-up in the Kansas State Points. Kaylee has plans on moving up a class or two once she can secure enough sponsorship. But for now, she's having fun in Sport Compacts. Kaylee credits her success to her mom, Rhonda, who's raced crazy cruisers and factory stock cars in the past, and today races Sport Compacts. Kaylee and Rhonda have formed Team Mad Racing to help each other out on the track. That's short for Mother and Daughter Racing. A few of Kaylee's sponsors include BWD Dryer, Brown Shoe Fit, Seneca Sanitation, and Twin Rivers in Beatrice. Make sure to keep your eyes out at Beatrice Speedway for the number 12 Sport Compact. That'll be Kaylee Diekman. She's this week's Young Gun on the front stretch.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 3, and it's brought to you by America's Place to Race, I-80 Speedway. Wide open weekend is May 17th and 18th. It's just around the corner, and there is so much to do between arcade racing of virtual I-80 Iowa Speedway to bull riding to motocross exhibition events to a photo hunt. I mean, they took a
hodgepodge of things.
There's so much to do when you arrive there on Saturday for the NASCAR K&N.
Is there a
Series
race in there somewhere?
Saturday NASCAR K&N race, and then Sunday the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. The show will be out there live. We'll be getting interviews, and I'm really excited about this. We just got confirmed yesterday that Rusty Wallace is going to join us. I've been trying for 3 years to get the guy on the show, and he's going to join us. So we got about 15 minutes. We're going to sit down with him and have a conversation about everything. Are you serious?
Racing. So one night I'm going to go out of town to go racing for points.
I told you
you're getting Rusty Wallace.
I told you last year. I said you need to go to Iowa Speedway with me one of these times because the drivers are more accessible. Everybody's more accessible.
Have you ever noticed Rusty Wallace probably has the most trademarked voice? I mean, he talks like this all the time, you know. And
please. No. Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip has a much more trademarked voice. That dumb. Never mind. Hey, what do you say we talk to another trademarked voice?
The voice of the Speedway.
Stan Caesar, voice of Eagle Raceway. Have you trademarked your voice, Stan?
No, hardly even thought about that. But
the sultry tones of Stan Caesar. I think you ought to get a copyright or trademark on that or something.
Well, it is what it is, you know. But I didn't know Buddy was down to Eagle last night, but hopefully he enjoyed the marathon we had going on down there. Talking about car count, we've been in the high 160s so far this year. Last night, 173 cars at Eagle Raceway. We had 18 heat races and 12 feature events, and it did run a little bit long. A couple classes, drivers were having a little issue, I think, but we ended up getting the thing over with, and kind of a surprise ending to the whole deal.
Can you go through some of the winners real quick? Just highlight some of the big drivers. We don't have to go through every class, but just pick out a couple of them you thought stood out and need to get recognized.
No, I'll give you a quick rundown. I did all the winner circle interviews after the races on the front stretch, and in the Sam's Club IMCA Sport Compact division, James King with the Dodge Neon. He had that thing singing last night, and a pretty little drier, slicker track condition than what we've seen earlier in the year. And he said his car's a little down on horsepower compared to some of the Cavaliers, and he found that to his liking. And he picked up his second win of the year at Eagle Raceway in the Sport Compact division. In the Valentino's IMCA Hobby Stock division from Weeping Water, Nebraska, it was Mike Hansen. And Mike's got a great-looking car with the custom flames, everything hand-painted on the car, and you really need to see it up close and all the metal flake in the paint that you don't notice from the grandstand. But one beautiful race car, and it's been a while since Mike's been in victory lane in that tough hobby stock class. I mean, the competition is brutal down there. Over 40 hobby stocks in the pits last night. Actually ran a C feature in the hobby stocks as well as the sport mod division. But
Stan, what was shocking? I was in the pits in 1 and 2. I could have swore we saw hobby stocks go 4 and 5 wide in the corners at times.
4 wide all the time, but even a couple times 5 wide, and usually they funnel back down to 4 or even 3 down the straightaway, but we do have pretty wide turns, and those guys were using every inch of racetrack before the night was over. But a great race. Mike Hansen picked up the win. It was a hard-fought battle, but Roy Armstrong was coming at the end, but just ran out of laps. In the Napa Auto Parts IMCA Sport Mod division, what can you say about Gary Sadoff? Sadoff probably made the move of the race early on in the going. He was starting back in the familiar 5th, 6th row where he's usually starting being up near the front of the point standings, and he made a move on that first lap, and I think he was 3rd at the end of lap number 1, coming from the 5th or 6th row, and that was the thing that gave him some clean racetrack, and he got out front early. Mitchie Legg was trying to run him down at the end of the race, battle between a couple jet mods, but Sadoff prevailed for yet another win in that division. A Modifieds sounded like they had a lot of excitement up at Harlan, Iowa last year. Abelson was a regular down at Eagle, and he's decided to try his luck up at Harlan this year, and so far I'm thinking this hasn't been too good of a choice for him, but he's been taking it tough up there so far this year, but he always had a pretty good run. Always picked up at least a couple feature wins every year down at Eagle Raceway. Maybe we'll see him back if his luck don't change up in Shelby County. But the hobby stock division, if you were a betting man, how could you not bet on the Osceola Rocket? Dylan Smith picked up his second consecutive victory at Eagle Raceway and his second victory in 2 nights, also having taken the victory at I-80 Speedway on Friday night. But the car was really good. It was a great race. The track, high side, low side. Justin Wolf had one of his best runs of the year. Shane High was hanging around that top. Chad Anderson that comes home with a second place finish. Johnny Sadoff was in the top 5 early on in the going, and somebody used the old chrome horn on him, and he had to come all the way from the back of the field, and he raced his way back up into the top 6. So a good run for Johnny, but as always, the Capital University IMCA Modified division, close to 30 cars in that deal, and what a great race they put on. Move up to the IMCA Race Saver, sponsored by the folks at Mud in America. 31 cars in the pit area, and 3 full heat races, actually. They were 1 car short of doing 4 heats of 8, but they did 3 heats, 10 cars apiece in a couple of them, and 11 in the other one. In the feature, it was a great race. Looked like Tad Holloman was going to pull off the win. He was running down around the low side. 2 really good grooves by the time the sprints hit the track. 1 clear up around the rim up next to the guardrail, and then 1 clear down around the hub. And Holloman was in that low line. He encountered lap traffic with about 8 laps to go. That allowed Adam Gullion and the rest of the field to run him back down, and Gullion got around him in traffic and ended up pulling off what appeared to be the win at the time. And he's a crowd favorite down there. He's got a big cheering section right down in front of the announcing booth, and they were going crazy, and the victory lane celebration looked like a NASCAR race. But Eric Reichwald, coming off some misfortune up at Crawford County a couple weeks ago, actually flipped the car up there, had a good run, and he nipped Tad Holloman right at the line for at that time what appeared to be second place. Holloman was 3rd, and Mike Boston, who raced from the 6th row again, drove his rear off to get to 4th, and in his victory lane interview, we interviewed the top 4 on the front stretch of the sprint car division. He's talking about how competitive the class has turned into. The Race Saver engine deals kind of really equalized the competition, and he had to work hard to get that fourth place finish. Clint Benson had a good run going. He had some misfortune clear at the end of the race, and I don't know if it was a tire or a suspension problem, but he fell back just in the last 2 laps. He was inside the top 5, and he fell back late in the going. So after all the dust had cleared, Adam Gullion appeared to be the winner in the post-race tech inspection. They found his car did not meet the speculations, and the sad thing about it is it was a very minor, just a few thousandths on the valve lift, and it's obviously not the reason Adam won the race. Adam's been strong all year long. He's got the car working good. He's a good driver. I really don't understand why these guys cut that stuff that close. I mean, but the bottom line is it didn't meet the spec, and Adam was out, and that handed the win to Eric Reichwald, and it was a pretty good win for him because he's kind of a low-budget guy from Blaston, Nebraska, and a good racer, and it was nice to see him pick up a win.
What was the issue with the number 14 sprint car last night?
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is this is involving Joey Danley. There was a restart in the feature after Mark Vanderheiden had gotten in the wall up in turns 1 and 2, and Joey said, I was behind this guy. They were doing their restart. He says, I was behind this guy. I know who I was behind. They were giving Toby Chapman the spot, according to the scoring. Scoring said Toby Chapman was in, I believe it was around the 10th position, and Joey was 11th. Joey was convinced that he was in the 10th spot. I don't know if his receiver wasn't working. They tried. We drove lap after lap, and they were side by side every lap around, and Joey wouldn't let Toby have the spot. Toby wouldn't give the spot to Joey because they were telling Toby that's where he needed to be on the receivers. And after about 4 or 5 laps of them not being able to start the race, it was kind of a long night anyway. Roger had enough, and he went down, and Danley was given the black flag and sent to the pit area for the night. And, I mean, that's probably kind of a tough call, but, one spot is one spot. It was still half the race left to go. If you're faster, Toby, pass him back. Take what they give you. Maybe somewhere down the line, it's gonna turn around and go the other way, and you'll get a spot maybe that you didn't deserve somewhere along the line. But hopefully things will work out, and everything will get back to normal. And go from there. But all in all, it was a great night of racing, great crowd, beautiful evening for racing.
Oh, it was.
Like I said, just another night at America's home track.
Couple things I want to discuss with you, maybe put you in the on the spot here, Stan, is a couple things I noticed last night.
I've been on the spot before.
A couple things I noticed last night in the Sport Compacts. The Sport Compacts overall, I think, usually put on a pretty good race, but did it seem, maybe from your vantage point, it did to mine, that there was a lot of intentional, just blatant beating, banging going on?
Yeah, that was happening last night, and I think that's kind of bred by the division. Those guys, either those cars don't have a lot of power, and they kind of race those cars like some of the restricted kart classes, in my opinion. And it's like you keep that right foot on the mat and steer the car around the corners. And them being front wheel drive, they'll kind of turn that car around the corner for you if you got a halfway decent setup in it. And the mentality in that class is it's all momentum. It's all about momentum. The less power in the car, the more momentum you have to have. And it seems like that class, nobody ever wants to lift off of that gas pedal because they know they're going to lose some ground on the track that they're going to have to make up, and it's going to be hard for them to make up because they don't have the power to do it.
And another thing that I noticed last night, we've had this at Eagle for 30, 40, 50 years. The familiar old hole in turn 1 reared its head again.
It was not the familiar old hole. The familiar old hole is entrance of turn 1, and it's where down where the water runs across from the pit entrance, where the hole was last night. And I can give you the reason why the holes are there. In the A modified division, these guys are slamming those cars so hard into the banking, into the corners now, the frame rails are actually digging up the track. That hole down at the bottom side of turn 1 was a totally different hole that's ever been there, as far as I can remember, at least since the beginning of the year at Eagle Raceway. And these modifieds, like I said, those frame rails are rolling over so hard, and those guys are on the gas so hard, and they got so much corner speed anymore.
That does make sense.
the car does roll over. If you notice, there was also a hole about 3/4 of the way up near the high side. And the fast way around Eagle last night was either went inside of the low hole or you went outside of the high hole.
Just use it as a marker. But one thing I noticed is last night the sprint cars, a lot of us up there by the catch fence were like, oh boy, this is not going to be ugly for the sprint cars. But the sprint cars showed just how much driver talent they had by missing those holes.
And the other thing, the other time they showed how much talent they have is on the first lap. The first lap could have been chaos down in turn 4.
Shaylee Bade.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that wasn't Wonder Woman. That wasn't Superman. That was Superhuman. God Almighty, ESPN on TV highlight reel save of the century, in my opinion.
It was a very nice save, and I'll tell you what, that could have been a very costly wreck for a lot of race teams. And those guys did a great job. Shaylee included. She picked up a handful of throttle and got that car back up and running. But that's how close the competition is, really, in all the classes. Nobody wants to give an inch because you can't afford to give an inch. If you give up that inch, you have to work so hard to get that inch back that everybody's running it at 100% every lap, and that's what makes Eagle Raceway, I guess, what it is.
All right, Stan, we appreciate your time as always.
Hey, one more thing. Very quickly, we'll talk about, I know PJ talked about Joe Proctor. I subbed for Joe down at I-80 Speedway on Friday night action down there, and a good night of racing down there. I got to call up Buddy Ray, picked up a heat race win in the B-Mod division. Buddy, when you do bad, I'm going to tell you did bad, but when you do good, you got a call for me on that one because you drove a great race in that heat race.
Yeah, we tried. We struggled in the feature, but we know what happened there.
Well, there you go. But you got to lose something before you win them, and your time will be coming around the block again. I know you picked up the win at Eagle a few years ago, and another one will come around the corner.
Well, hopefully we'll make it there.
Hey, Stan, I apologize. I was going to end it with you. I forgot that you filled in on Friday night. Can you give us a recap on some of the racing from I-80, or am I calling you on
really
notes?
Really good racing. Just from memory, no notes. I'm just sitting in the car talking to you on the phone on my way to church this morning. But anyhow, races were good. A good field of cars, a good crowd on hand. They had parochial school night going on. They had a bunch of kids out there. It was a good crowd at I-80 Speedway, probably their best weekly crowd that they've had all year. A-Mods, super late models, probably the two races of the night, in my opinion. On the big tracks, the faster cars seems like always put on a little bit better show. Although the competition is close in the other classes, the best racing is still in that late model division. And I'll tell you what, Corey Dumper put a whipping on him in that super late model division. You can't you give him credit. He drove one heck of a race in car number 77. Dylan Smith, we already talked about his win in the modified division. It was not without a fight, but nevertheless, he did pick up that win. Grand Nationals, it was Brian Kaziski. Brian, kind of a chip off the old block, very, very smooth driver, just like his father, Steve. Not as aggressive, but very smooth. And boy, I tell you what, he put it on him in the Grand National, the grade class. And Sport Mods, good race. Sean Archer had an awful hard crash down there. It was good to see Sean back in action last night at Eagle. It was a different
Thank
car.
God he was all right.
I talked to his sister very briefly up in the grandstand, and I guess something broke in the steering or suspension heading into turn one because he hit that turn one jersey barriers down there, just full boat, just about head on. And it's good to see Sean be able to get out of that car. But great. All in all, good racing, down at I-80 Speedway, and hopefully Joe will get out of the hospital first part of next week. And I think he's doing better. They're just keeping an eye on him. They're a little worried about the pneumonia condition that kind of had set in, but give a call to him. Hopefully he'll be back up in the booth next week. But you talked about very quickly. I can throw one more little bit of a result at you. Nebraska 360 sprints out of Butler County Speedway last night on Saturday night. Jack Dover picked up his second consecutive win over Tyler Drucke and Stu Snyder. They had I believe 28, 29 cars. The NCRA guys were in town. A lot of really good cars out there. Cody Ledger had a good run, another good run. He had a sixth over at Eagle last week. He followed that up with a fourth place finish last night up at Butler County. So they've got a big race coming up on the 24th. Then it's the Charlie Clark Memorial, and with 3,022 on the line, it'll be great to see those guys back in action at I-80 Speedway, and I'll be behind the mic on that one.
Stan, I want to go back to Dylan Smith picking up the win Friday night at I-80 and then last night at Eagle Raceway. Something I was told last night that I Didn't know anything about it. I don't have any contact for Dylan or Goki or anything, but the rumor is that Goki and Smith have split up.
They have split up, and I heard that Mike's going to go out and on his own thing, do his own thing, get a new shop together, and be doing some fab and some setup and chassis and everything like he normally does. And Dylan going head on, and wish the best to both of them, but it doesn't seem like it's slowed Dylan down any. And
no.
It's he's always one tough customer, very very smooth, hard driver, and at I-80 Speedway he could have lost the whole night in that first turn little deal. He was completely sideways, and somebody drilled him in that left front wheel, and it actually didn't hurt the car, and he still raced his way up and took the win on Friday night, and then followed it up with a really good run on Saturday because those guys were out there. Justin Wolf was having a good race. He was out there up front. Chad Anderson. Those guys wheeling one down on the low side, one up on the high side, and along comes Shane Hyatt, Mike Dinsberger, and of course Dylan. Passed them all and picked up the win at Eagle. So he's got a great future ahead of him. He could just about race anything he wants to race. He's done well in late models. He's going to pursue some USC MTS stuff. We're not going to see him every week. He's not racing for points, but you can bet when the 95 pulls in the pit area, whether it's at I-80 on Friday or at Eagle on Saturday or wherever he goes, he's going to be a contender.
All right, Stan, we always do appreciate you taking your time.
All right, man.
And have yourself a good time at church and a good Sunday, all right?
You got it, man. See you guys.
Have a good one. All right, Stan Caesar of Eagle Raceway. Quick update on the weather. It's still moving in, and it's going to get serious here kind of shortly. Last look at the radar looked like there was quite a bit of red and yellow over the top of Gretna heading towards the Omaha, Iowa area. So just if you're in that area, just be careful. Don't be like a lot of these people on Facebook that love to go out and stand on their porch and take picture, i.e. me.
Yeah, that's me. Tornado warnings are going off. People are running for the basement. Bud's out here going, look at that, Mom!
That is the one stereotype I think that the rest of the world has right about the Midwest. Everybody else has natural weather happening, and they head for the basements, they head for shelter. The rest of us are like, hey, look, it's a tornado.
Let's go put a steak on the grill. Watch the house get blown away. There goes our house payment.
Yes, I just updated the weather, so it's just past Gretna. All right, stay careful. It's still a little ways away, but it's coming. So it could be heavy rain, some strong winds, hail, thunderstorms, cats, dogs. It could get serious. We'll be back in turn number 4 to wrap it all up. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590 Omaha's ESPN Radio.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he's talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kasiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kasiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
As we speak, we are 7 days, 4 hours, and 6 minutes away from the Get to Know Newton 250. Well, it's 45 seconds, 44 seconds.
Let's be right here.
It's finally here. Wide open weekend. I-80 Iowa Speedway is just around the corner. It's next weekend, May 17th and 18th. Get your tickets today. Listen, if you want to talk about an affordable price, ticket packages starting at $20. Individual races are available. Weekend packages are available. RV parking is available. If you haven't been to Iowa Speedway yet, and maybe you're somebody who went down to Kansas last night, I'm telling you there are a lot of similarities to Kansas and Iowa Speedway. The best way I can describe it is take a dirt track and take Kansas Speedway and mix them together. And that's what you've got. You've got a small town dirt track feel with a NASCAR action on the track. So iowaspeedway.com or 1-866-RUSTY-GO for all your ticket information.
You know what I like about Iowa Speedway? Is
Everything.
It's easy to get in and get out.
It is.
It's very easy. I mean,
really
and
easy.
Kansas is easy too, but you could almost drive a full circle around Kansas Speedway, and there's all these exits and all this and all that. But I swear, when you go to Iowa, it's like rolling into a dirt track. Here's a couple roads, big old fields, park, go watch the race, come back out.
I can't describe it any better. It is going to a small dirt track on Friday night. That's what it is. You pull in, and even some of it is grass park. Well, I say that as if it's a shocker, but Kansas, every track has grass parking. But it's you get in there. I think there's 3 ways to get into the track. It's 24,000 seats. It doesn't take long to clear out after the race is over with. You're right there at the interstate. You're out of. It's perfect.
And
I love it.
I think it's a 7/8 mile oval, I believe. It's not as big as Kansas, so there's no bad seats in the house whatsoever.
Right.
It's not so big that you get boring, but it's not so small that you can't keep up with it. It's just like the perfect. I can't wait until they bring a cup race there.
It's Richmond and Darlington all in one. I mean, that's exactly what Rusty Wallace said when he built it. He loved Richmond, Darlington, Atlanta, those smaller mid-sized tracks. They're not the speedways. They're not the 1.5 miles. They're not the short tracks at Martinsville. You still get a lot of speed, but you can still pay somebody back if they've done you wrong.
What do you think's going to happen if, now I'm just saying if, capital I, capital F, they bring a cup race there?
It's going to be a few years. I mean, it's going to be several years. It's a ways away. Let's just. I mean, I
do you see
hope.
it, even if it's, let's say it's 5 years down the road? Do you see it eventually happening?
No, not 5 years.
Not within 5 years.
Mm-mm. There's too much that needs to be done, and there's too many other factors that go into just simply the fact that there's good racing at Iowa Speedway and they take care of their business as a racetrack. It's the fact that I was holding out hope for an Iowa Speedway race in 2015 when they've got all the new TV deals coming in. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of shuffling of the schedule, but what is holding Iowa Speedway back the most right now? Who's going to give up a race to give it to Iowa?
Right.
That's the biggest issue we're coming across, and I think that's what's going to stop it for a long time.
Is this nationwide race on TV?
Yeah, it'll be on ESPN.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
You know what? Let me double check. It'll either be on ESPN or ABC, but ESPN has a nationwide contract.
Surely not Fox.
No. I thought I was going to get through the morning without getting aggravated. But you just reminded me of every dumb thing they did last night. I cannot wait. Just a few more races and we're done with Fox.
Yeah.
This coming weekend is All-Star Weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Pick'ems contest? No Pick'ems contest.
No, it's not a points-paying race, so I didn't schedule it for...
Monty Omar, if you're listening, you're safe this week.
Yep. Right now, Sonia Worth has a big points lead over John Dumpert and Mike Carlson for the overall Pick'ems contest. And then the autographed Iowa Speedway hats, all locked down last night. We can't get anybody else. Well, you can get in, but you can go ahead and keep picking, but I don't think you're going to make it. But Dirk Husted is your current leader, so he's going to get himself those 3 autographed ball caps from Casey's General Store, American Ethanol, and Iowa Speedway that contains James Busher, Darrell Wallace Jr., Darrell Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Ross Chastain, Michael Self. Great autographs on those hats. Those hats are going to be worth a pretty penny someday.
Make sure you go to joeskarting.com, look in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you register. It's free to register, but I need to have you register, sign up for your account. You don't have to come into Joe's, but as long as you sign up your account, then I can actually award the free races. And then, Dan, you and I were talking about this, and this is a good point because I know you put a lot of work into the spreadsheet for the Pick'ems contest. I think Harley Meyer, my crew guy, was talking. We're just so busy with dirt racing now, twice a week. If you're going to bow out of the contest simply because you don't have time or whatever, let Dan know That way we can kind of take you out of the contest, and it eases up the load on you. That would be nice.
I don't ever like to complain. Well, I kind of do, but it just makes it easier if you're not going to pick. That's perfectly fine. All right, we got about 10 seconds left in the show. Get to Quicker Steak and Lube today for Mother's Day. Beautiful specials. Treat your mom to some of the best wings in town.
Show her a tornado.
Happy Mother's Day to my mother and to yours, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
So you raced your car this weekend and it ended up on the wrecker. Alter Metal Recycling in Council Bluffs wants to remind you it's not a total loss. Bring it by their modern scrap metal recycling facility and get top dollar for your car. Alter has a full concrete unloading zone, so you don't have to deal with muddy loading zones, and pays on the spot for your car. Alter Metal Recycling is open 6 days a week, with locations in Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and more. Find your location online at altertrading.com.
Driving home from work, you try to beat your best time. Even though your neighbor started mowing first, you finish first. And when you see the shortest checkout line, you race to it. That's because there's a race fan in all of us. Experience a different kind of race at Iowa Speedway on May 18th for the NASCAR Nationwide Series 250. Tickets start at $20. Buy your tickets at iowaspeedway.com or call 866-RUSTY-GO. 66-RUSTY-GO. 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 66-RUSTY-GO.